Tonight on News 22.
Farmers can expect a good water supply season in New Mexico.
Today is National Kick Butts Day, specifically tobacco's butt.
And find out what drug the FDA approved for postpartum depression.
All that and more on News 22 Wednesday.
Serving southern New Mexico, this is the award-winning KRWG-TV News 22, where news matters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Diana Castillo.
And I'm Adan Contreras. The snow in the northern part of the state is doing some good.
Farmers who depend on the river can expect good weather supply this growing season. The National Weather Service says there's been a good snowpack this winter and will mark one of the best seasons in years, and a huge jump from last year, which had a record low numbers. Extreme drought over the last 18 months has put pressure on water managers along the Rio Grande and Colorado rivers. But over the next 3 months, this is expected to be above normal precipitation along the Rio Grande. The 7 states that depend on the Colorado River have a plan they hope will keep the river healthy. They have reached a consensus for a drought contingency plan. The Bureau of Reclamation gave the states until Tuesday to wrap up drought plans in California after Arizona and California failed to do so. Now states are seeking approval from Congress to implement their plan.
On Capitol Hill today, the director of the Trump administration's Environmental Protection Agency played down the danger of climate change. Andrew Wheeler, a former coal industry lobbyist, said he sees other major problems with water.
As the administrator of the U.S. EPA, I believe that water issues are the largest and most immediate environmental and public health issue affecting the world right now. As the administrator of the U.S. EPA, I believe... But
the vast majority of scientists say climate change is a major problem with the worldwide water supply.
This weather has definitely felt like the first day of spring.
That's right, and Danielle's going to tell us all about that spring weather next.
This is Danielle Gutierrez with your current conditions, and yes, today is the first day of the beautiful season of spring, and Las Cruces is definitely starting to embody those warmer spring-like temperatures. Right now we have partly cloudy skies with temperatures at 66 degrees. We have winds coming out of the east-southeast at 15 miles per hour, humidity at 32%, a dew point at 36 degrees, and a barometer reading at 30.03 inches. Taking a look at the weather we experienced today, we hit a high at 70 degrees, which is just around our average for the year at 71 degrees. And we woke up to a warmer overnight low at 50 degrees. Now throwing it back to the year 2004, we hit record high temperatures at 86 degrees, and in the year 1965, record low temperatures at 25 degrees. We had no rain today, leaving our yearly rainfall at 0.63 inches. Those are all the current conditions I have for you right now. I'll be back with your national forecast. For now, back to the desk.
Farmers around Dexter, New Mexico are trying to rebuild after a devastating tornado ripped through the area last week.
As Elena Mendoza reports, they've never faced a challenge like this.
From crushed sheds to mangled irrigation systems.
It was chaos. It was just a bunch of debris everywhere.
The farmers and ranchers in Chaves County rocked by last week's devastating tornado have their work cut out for them.
Here at Greenfield, it took out 2 commodity barns, 1 hay barn, and a shade for the heifers.
The local agriculture industry took a hit. We learned at least 150 cows across a string of dairies were wounded by flying sheet metal and had to be put down.
These guys were cleaning the pens, and now they're cleaning up the mess now.
Now they're turning their attention to all of the broken irrigation systems.
Well, without the water, the crops won't grow. And those crops are very important to the cows.
Most of the farmers grow their own feed.
I think there's a total, from what I understood, of 11 to 12 throughout the valley that this, the wind got.
With about a dozen irrigation systems down during peak growing season, they could be facing rising costs come harvest time in April and May. You guys really have no other way to water the crops?
No, unless Mother Nature's real generous.
That was Elena Mendoza reporting.
The city of Las Cruces had sold some land it owned in Las Vegas, Nevada. The city sold it to a nonprofit called Core Academy that plans to turn the property into a high school for disadvantaged students. The city acquired the property as part of a settlement in a lawsuit. One city councilman stated the city has no use for the property. The sale of the property is expected to be completed by June of this year.
A Chaparral man is facing charges today after evading police on Tuesday. In the early hours of Tuesday morning, police found Daniel Espinosa stopped in the middle of the intersection. Espinosa led them on a chase where he evaded arrest, but he was caught today driving erratically. Police found drug paraphernalia and arrested him. He is in the Doña Ana County Jail without bond. An abandoned dog that was found shot last week is getting a second chance. Rescuers call him Benson. Volunteers from the Heart Rescue Group say someone shot Benson. The bullet sliced across Benson's throat and neck area, lodging in his right shoulder. The rescue organization says mistreatment of pets is very common in Doña Ana County. Anyone who's considering harming their pet or abandoning it should call animal control and surrender it to a shelter. Anyone with information about animal cruelty should report it to authorities.
The campaign finance numbers are in. Beto O'Rourke brought in $6.1 million in the first 24 hours of his campaign. Following close behind was Senator Bernie Sanders with close to $6 million collected in the same time frame. Senator Kamala Harris's campaign raised $1.5 million in 24 hours as well. Senator Amy Klobuchar's campaign said it brought in $1 million in 48 hours, and Washington Governor Jay Inslee's campaign raised the same amount within a few days. The average contributions range from $27 to $47.
One of the first Democrats who announced a run for president is speaking out about the Electoral College. 2 of the last 3 presidents won the office even though they lost the popular vote. And now Senator Elizabeth Warren said it's time for the Electoral College to go. CNN's Jay Lee reports.
My view is that every vote matters, and that means get rid of the Electoral College.
Senator Elizabeth Warren calling for the elimination of the Electoral College, prompting prolonged applause from Democratic voters in Jackson, Mississippi. Warren citing Hillary Clinton's loss in 2016, despite winning the popular vote, with nearly 3 million more votes than President Trump, describing the Electoral College as a means of disenfranchising voters in states dominated by a single political party.
Come a general election, presidential candidates don't come to places like Mississippi. They also don't come to places like California and Massachusetts, right? Because we're not the battleground states.
Warren becoming the first senator running for president to endorse a House bill to study reparations for Americans who are descendants of slaves.
I believe it's time to start the national, full-blown conversation about reparations in this country.
But stopping short of calling for financial payments. The Massachusetts senator who made a name for herself by taking on the big banks, distancing herself from the socialist moniker.
I believe in the value that we get out of markets, but it's got to be markets with rules.
Warren again addressing criticism that her past claims of having Native American heritage were tone deaf.
I grew up in Oklahoma. I learned about my family from my family. And based on that, that's just kind of who I am.
The presidential candidate recounting an emotional story about her mother getting a minimum wage job after her father had a heart attack.
She's saying, we will not lose this house. We will not lose this house. She was 50 years old. She'd never worked outside the home. She was truly terrified. And years later, I came to understand this is a story about millions of Americans who, it doesn't matter if you're scared. When you got to do something to take care of people you love, you reach down, you find it, and you pull it up.
That was Jay Lee reporting. Warren, also focusing heavily on racial inequities at the historically African-American Jackson State University, called for the removal of Confederate statues and monuments and calling on Mississippi to adopt a new state flag without the Confederate battle flag emblem. And stay tuned, Danielle will be back with your national forecast.
But first, National Kick Butts Day means people kick cigarettes to the curb. More on that when News 22 continues.
Hi, I'm Edmundo Resendez, Director of Development for KRWG Public Media. I love KRWG Public Media membership drives because it is a wonderful opportunity to hear directly from our viewers who value the service of KRWG Public Media. To all of you that either called or gave online, thank you for your support. You are the key to our future. If you do not get a chance to give, it's not too late. Call us 888-922-5794 or contribute online at krwg.org.
Join KRWG Public Media for a coffee, talk, and visit in Truth or Consequences on Thursday, March 21st from 9 to 11 in the morning. We'll be at Passion Pie Cafe, located at 406 Main Avenue. Meet with KRWG staff to discuss public media in Truth or Consequences at Passion Pie Cafe. That's Thursday morning, March 21st from 9 to 11.
Welcome back. You're watching News 22 Wednesday,
where news matters. A man who's getting a lot of attention because of a book and a movie is making the rounds.
Ron Stallworth, who is from El Paso, wrote the book Black Klansman, and Spike Lee turned it into a movie. Stallworth was in Las Cruces talking about the book, as well as his investigation of the Ku Klux Klan. His main message was everyone has a story to tell, and they need to get that story heard.
Find your passion, whatever your passion may be. If it's writing, find that aspect of writing that you're passionate about and pursue it. Everyone has a story in them. They just need to have to find theirs, pull it out, and commit it to paper.
Stallworth also said that fame hasn't changed him. He still enjoys simple things like having breakfast with his wife. Do snakes give you the heebie-jeebies? Well, these homeowners had a surprising encounter. Homeowners near Abilene, Texas thought there were just a few snakes under their house, but the reality was very different. When Big Country Snake Removal arrived on scene, they found 45 rattlesnakes below the home. It took hours to remove all the snakes. The company posted an 18-minute video of the process on Facebook, and all those snakes added up to 300,000 views. While the video has gained media attention, the company says it's all in a day's work. And today is Kick Butts Day, cigarette butts that is. March 20th is National Kick Butts Day, which celebrates smokers quitting tobacco. It is also a day for non-smokers to help raise awareness about the health dangers that come with smoking. Nearly 500,000 Americans die every year because of smoking. The first National Kick Butts Day was organized in the 1996 campaign for tobacco-free kids.
Postpartum depression affects hundreds of thousands of women worldwide. And as of Tuesday, the FDA has approved a drug specifically intended for its treatment.
Meredith Wood has details on this breakthrough in today's Health Minute.
For the first time ever, the FDA has announced its approval of a drug to treat postpartum depression. The drug is called Zulresso. It's an intravenous infusion of brexanolone administered in a single 60-hour IV drip. Postpartum depression affects an estimated 1 in 9 new mothers after childbirth. Without treatment, symptoms can last for months or years. In the past, treatment options have included counseling and antidepressants. But antidepressants can take weeks to take effect. In clinical trials, Zulresso has been shown to take effect within hours of the infusion. The trials were conducted in 2016 and 2017 across 30 locations and involved more than 200 women who displayed symptoms of postpartum depression. Of the women who were given Zulresso, half no longer displayed signs of clinical depression, and 75% saw at least a 50% improvement in their symptoms. 94% had not relapsed at a 30-day follow-up. Common side effects include headache, dizziness, and excessive sleepiness. Sage Therapeutics, the company that developed the treatment, estimates the drug will cost between $20,000 and $35,000 per treatment. For today's Health Minute, I'm Meredith Wood.
Zulresso will be available beginning in June, though administration of the treatment will be restricted to the Zulresso Risk Evaluation and Mitigation Strategy Program. Only providers and certified healthcare facilities will be able to administer treatment initially. Well, we haven't had rain here in a few days. I think the rain is heading towards the northeast part of the country.
And Danielle is next to tell us more in the national forecast.
Now let's go ahead and take a look at the weather across the country. Now, while spring may be off to a great start here in Las Cruces, it's not looking too well for places within the northeast. This map here is showing a coastal storm that is expected to bring wind, rain, and snow within these areas beginning tonight through Friday. Now, these disturbances indicated by the X's here will be riding through the southward plunge of the jet stream, and these are the areas that will be most affected. Now, on my next map, we're going to be looking at the weather for tomorrow within these areas. Places like Charleston, Washington, and New York will be experiencing some heavier rain, while places further up north like Burlington and Boston will be experiencing some lighter showers. Now, on my final map, we're going to be looking at how these conditions will intensify through the night. Once the temperatures drop, these conditions will worsen. So as you can see in the northern parts, we'll be expecting some snow as indicated by the blue, and places along the east coast such as Boston, New York, and Washington will still be receiving those heavy showers, while places like Syracuse, Burlington, and Pittsburgh will be experiencing a mixture of rain, snow, and ice. Now, these areas should stay off the roads and stay cautious through these conditions. That's all I have for your national forecast. I'll be right back with your local temperatures after this break.
Del en iakttagelse i samband med de 4 morden.
Kan han naturligtvis ha sett henne.
Jag har en hemlighet.
Thursday at 9 p.m.
The legendary Birgit Nilsson loved to sing.
She was a country girl from Sweden who became a world-famous diva.
Delight in how she did it, from her Met Opera debut.
Front page for New York Times.
And more, with lots of delicious dish about conductors and co-stars.
Placido Domingo.
Look for Birgit Nilsson, a diva in a league of her own.
Such a monumental artist.
On Great Performances.
Friday at 8 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching News 22 Wednesday. Let's go ahead and take a look at the temperatures across the state of New Mexico. We have Clovis at 54 degrees, Santa Fe at a lower 49 degrees, Farmington at 62, Roswell at 60, Ruidoso at 45, Las Cruces here at 66, and Deming at 67. Looking at the temperatures for tomorrow, they remain roughly the same. We have Clovis at 58 degrees, Roswell at 63, Ruidoso at 53, Farmington at 63 degrees, Las Cruces here at 73 degrees, and Deming at 73. Now taking a look at our neighboring cities, Alamogordo tonight will have partly cloudy skies with 46-degree weather, and tomorrow cloudy skies as well with 66 degrees. Truth or Consequences should be expecting some showers tonight at 47 degrees with a high tomorrow at 70. We have Silver City again with some rainy weather tonight at 41 degrees. Tomorrow a partly cloudy skies with a high of 63 degrees. And here in Las Cruces we can expect some showers as well with 50-degree weather tonight, and tomorrow partly cloudy skies at 73 degrees. Now those are all the local temperatures I have for you right now. I'll be back with your 5-day forecast later on in the show. For now, back to the desk.
Cleanup is underway in Deep Park, Texas, after a chemical fire burned for 4 days.
Andrea Vasquez shows us more in today's Southwest Minute.
The fire began in a single tank at the Intercontinental Terminals Company and quickly spread to other tanks. One tank contained toluene, used in the production of nail polish remover, glue, and paint thinner. State officials say there was nothing toxic in the smoke. Company officials say the levels of gas were below federal exposure limits, but did reach the company's level that required shelter in place. Phoenix police are searching for a suspect who shot into a home, killing 2 people and wounding 4. The suspect was attending a party at the house when he got into a fight and left. Police believe he returned with a gun and opened fire. The dead are described as a man and an 18-year-old girl. Congressman Devin Nunes is suing Twitter over a parody account called Devin Nunes Cow, which now has almost 500,000 followers, a lot more than the congressman's account. But that number didn't soar until Nunes filed his lawsuit. Before the filing, the Devin Nunes Cow account only had about 1,000 followers. In one day, it gained hundreds of thousands. Twitter hasn't commented on the lawsuit. And for now, the parody account is still up and tweeting. I'm Andrea Vasquez for the Southwest Minute.
You don't have to look any further for a place to watch the Aggie men's basketball team tomorrow. The game against the Auburn Tigers will be shown inside the City Council chambers. It's free and the doors will be open to fans at 11 a.m.
I will definitely be supporting the Aggies.
That's right, and Amanda's going to tell us all about the big game next with sports.
Thanks to Don. Coming up in sports, the Aggies men's basketball team is getting the star treatment in Salt Lake, and spring football is here. Don't go too far because News 22 Sports is next.
This week on Central Texas Gardener, discover how to attract butterflies. Texas master naturalists and authors Lynn and Jim Weber keep butterflies around with native host plants. In Blanco, a couple pairs wildlife habitat with structured gardens. Certified arborist April Rose answers your top tree questions. And Carla Crownover has your backyard basics tip. So let's get growing.
Saturday at 2 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Coming up on Austin City Limits.
Saturday at 9 p.m.
This is KRWG-TV News 22 Sports.
Welcome back. I'm Amanda Adame, and let's talk sports. Well, if you're a college basketball fan like me, it's your favorite time of the year. It's time for March Madness. Our Aggie men's basketball team is coming off winning their WAC championship game, dominating Grand Canyon University with a blowout score of 89-57. The men punched their ticket to the big dance for the 22nd time in program history. The Aggies will take on the fifth-seeded Auburn Tigers tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. And one of the many highlights of going to the NCAA tournament is meeting with the press for Media Day. Today, the Aggies sat down in front of dozens of reporters to answer questions about tomorrow's game. Standout junior guard Sean Buchanan told the Salt Lake Tribune that their team is different and they all play for each other. And as the festivities continue for them in Salt Lake City, here at home, we're gearing up for the big game. If you don't have a place to watch, the Cineport 10 Theaters has got you covered. They will be showing it on their biggest screen in the theater. Admission is free and open to all Aggie fans, but fans are encouraged to show up early because long lines of faithful fans are expected. And the men aren't the only Aggies heading to the big dance. Our women Aggies have also secured their ticket. The women fought for their WAC championship title against UT Rio Grande Valley in a nail-biting double overtime win with a score of 76-73, capturing their fourth Western Athletic Conference tournament championship in the last 5 years. This weekend, the Aggies will take on Iowa State for the first round. The game will be on Saturday at 5 p.m. Today is the first day of spring, which also means spring scrimmage time for football programs. The New Mexico State men's football team is having their spring scrimmage today to kick off the 2019 season. The game started at 6 at Aggie Memorial Stadium, but if you're watching this, it's not too late to head over to the stadium. You can still interact with your favorite players and get autographs from the Aggies after the game. And that's all for sports tonight. Join us for more sports action tomorrow. Still ahead on News 22, Danielle will be back to take a look at your 5-day forecast. But first, find out why KRUX Band was playing at NMSU today. More on that when News 22 returns.
When you become so known in pop culture, it's a backwards way establishing your career.
My very first appointment with Saks, they canceled.
His response was, I'm going to make everything happen regardless.
This is where everything comes together.
Friday at 9:30 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
I have my shop helper with me, and we created this country Sheraton nightstand with a clear coat epoxy resin on top of river stones. Mahogany, walnut. This is a show for you.
Saturday morning at 8:30 on KRWG Public Media.
Let's take a look at our top stories. Farmers are thanking the snow. That's because of the amount of snowpack that will make its way down the river, providing good water supply this growing season. Today is National Kick Butts Day. raising awareness about the health dangers that come with smoking. And if you are a smoker, today is the day to quit. And we learned hundreds of thousands of women are affected by postpartum depression, and there is now a drug to help with this.
It sounded like a rock concert on the NMSU campus early this afternoon. The KRWG band were rocking to promote their radio station and their upcoming 3-day music festival from April 29th through the 31st. For more information on their upcoming events,
sounds for Crux Radio. We're the student-run radio station on campus, and so what we're doing is it's just a way for us to get our name out there, table, but yet attract some students with a little more interesting than normal tabling. So we bring out bands, we'll bring out DJs, different stuff like that, just to have some music go and get you through your Wednesday.
For more information on their upcoming events, visit KRWG.com and tune in at 91.5 on your radios for more rocking music.
Well, that sounds like an event I'll be heading to.
Same. And Danielle, tell us what the next 5 days are looking like.
Let's go ahead and take a look at our next 5-day forecast. Now, this week, in my opinion, is the perfect start to the spring season. We have temperatures in the mid to lower 70s and lows in the mid 40s with some cloudy skies, but that should clear up towards the end of the week.
Nice. And don't forget, you can catch all of today's aired stories and past newscasts on our YouTube page at youtube.com/KRWG News 22.
And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat for show updates and the latest on what the News 22 is up to. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Diana Castillo.
I'm with Anton Contreras.
And I'm Danielle Gutierrez. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
This news brief en español is brought to you by Noticias 22, Spanish language news for southern New Mexico and West Texas. Noticias 22.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a este breve informativo de Noticias 22. Con ustedes, Brian Ochoa. El hombre que intentó escaparse de los alguaciles del condado de Doñana el día de ayer fue arrestado hoy por la mañana. Daniel Espinosa, de 52 años, manejaba un vehículo estacionado en medio de una intersección. Cuando los oficiales intentaron pararlo, el vehículo Espinosa huyó en la línea estatal de Texas. Espinosa se escapó, pero la policía tomó sus placas. Anoche, agentes vieron a Espinosa conduciendo fuera de control y fue detenido. Se le descubrió drogas y una botella abierta de alcohol. Espinosa confesó que él fue el conductor que inició la persecución la noche anterior. Espinosa se encuentra arrestado sin derecho a fianza. Los granjeros y los rancheros en el condado de Chávez, cerca de Roswell, están preocupados después de que la semana pasada un tornado causó bastante daño en la región. Tomaron un golpe fuerte ya que por lo menos 150 vacas fueron lastimadas por hojas de metal que se volaron con el viento. Rancheros tuvieron que matar los animales lastimados. Con un sistema que no está funcionando durante la temporada más importante, ellos podrían enfrentar altos costos para las cosechas en abril y mayo. Para Noticias 22, con ustedes, Brian Ochoa.